points in your life where things are not going the way you expected, where these things are going south and you're having a detour and you're like, this is not what I expect, this is not what I planned for. And you can't even really put to words what exactly is happening. If anybody should even ask you a question, you really cannot say, but just mumble. You have unanswered questions. You are at night, you seem it seems like your sleep is taken away and you just have so many things going through your mind. You're concerned and you're like, what is happening? And you may even begin to question if God still loves you, if he's close by, because if he is, why am I going through these things? Why am I having these battles? Why am I experiencing these things? Where is God? And all of that. You might even be at the verge of complaining, and rightly so. This was the psalmist's ordeal. This was the experience he was going through, and even worse, perhaps, in the book of Psalms chapter 77, if you start reading from the early verses down to verse 10, you could see his experience. He even felt like God doesn't love him anymore. He questioned the love of God. And then he got to a point where he was like, hold on a minute. But then, every one of us needs to get to that junction of but then. Yes, there seem to be overwhelming things going on all around you, pressures, and it's looking so overwhelming that you are at the verge of complaining, rightly so, in quotes. And you have to pause for a moment because if you run with that mindset, it would make you feel like or begin to doubt God's faithfulness. And you might get so overwhelmed that you might begin to think like, or you might even forget all the times that God has come through for you, which isn't the right mentality or mindset or attitude that God would want us to have. Remember how he talked about the children of Israel when things were going good, when he showed up for them, because they sang his praises. They were like, "Oh God, you are wonderful," and all of that, blah blah blah. But the moment things began to go south, the moment things began to go in a way that they did not want or they did not like, they began to complain. The Bible says they soon forgot his works. And that is the trap, and that is the snare, and that is the point where the enemy or this situation you're going through will want to get you to, where you forget all the times that God had come through for you, where you forget all the faithfulnesses of God, even if it's from long ago. Let's look at verse 11 and start with that Psalm 77. After all the things he narrated, all these negative audios and experience, the Bible says, the psalmist says, but then I recall all you have done, O Lord. I remember your wonderful deeds of long ago. They are constantly in my thoughts. I cannot stop thinking about your mighty works. Now, one of the things that will stop you and I from getting to the verge or getting to the point of complaints here and there is when you keep in thoughts all the times that God has come through for you. When even in the midst and overwhelming pressures of all the things that you're going through in the moment or in that moment, you can tell yourself, but then come on. Even though I'm going through all of these things, I remember how God saved me from one accident a few months ago. I remember how God came through for me at XYZ moments in my life. I mean, this is the attitude that God will want you and I to have, and not the attitude of the Israelites, where the Bible says that they soon forgot his works. When things were going good for them, they sang God's praises, but the moment things went south, they began to complain and complain and complain. And that is a trap, that is a snare that the enemy or the negative situation you're going through will want to get you to, where you begin to complain, and all you're seeing is just what you're going through, the negativities, and just you complaining. But when you get to that point of, but then, when you keep in view, in retrospect, all the times that God has come through, his faithfulness is in time past, that is what will stir up your faith to say to yourself, man, I know I'm going through, no matter how bad the situation is, if God delivered me from the lion and he delivered me from the bear, he would also deliver me even much more so from this uncircumcised Philistine. That is what will stir up your faith and give you the courage to even challenge God and say, and challenge yourself and tell yourself that, man, no matter how bad this is, God is going to come through for me just the same way he came through for me in time past. So let this encourage you. See beyond whatever it is you're going through. Don't fall into the trap of complaint. Always keep in view God's faithfulnesses, no matter how bad the situation is, and let that stir up your faith to thank God and to believe that he will come through for you the way he did in time past.